Is your salt cell incorrectly reporting cold water or high and low salt levels? It may be that your flow sensor is going bad. In this video, I'll show you how to diagnose and, if required, replace your salt cell's $50 flow sensor. This sensor is located on your chlorine generator and it's used to measure water flow, temperature, and salt levels. Over time, they can go bad, causing people to replace their entire $800 plus salt cell unnecessarily. Before replacing the sensor, you'll want to do a few things to verify that the sensor is in fact bad. Step 1 is to clean your salt cell. The metal fins inside your cell can attract calcium and build up and reduce its function and accuracy. So cleaning alone may fix your issue, but if not, at least it sets you up to operate your salt cell better after the new flow switch. To clean your salt cell, turn off your system's power and unscrew the device from the plumbing. You'll need to install a cap on the bottom, which you can buy on Amazon, and sit it inside a bucket to contain the acid that we're about to use. Pentair's manual suggests that we pour 4 parts of water to 1 part muriatic acid, and I suggest that you follow whatever guidelines your salt cell manual says, but 4-to-1 sounds like it's pretty safe. You can get this muriatic acid at Home Depot or any pool store for about $5. If the solution bubbles, then it's working. Don't leave the acid mix inside the generator for more than 15 minutes or any longer than you really need to. When it stops bubbling, remove the solution to prevent any damage to the precious metal coatings. Once complete, flush the metal fins inside and pour the wastewater, which contains acid, into your pool, and that's a great place for a safe disposal of the acid. Step 2, you'll need to reinstall the salt cell. Next, you need to verify that the water temperature is warm enough for your salt cell to operate. So hopefully you have a thermometer on your pool, but even a meat thermometer will be good enough for this step. If the water temperatures are too low, generally below 52 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll need to either turn on your heater or wait until the water reaches a warmer operating temperature, 60 degrees Fahrenheit or better. My salt cell manual says it will not work at 52 degrees Fahrenheit or less, and I can't expect to receive the water temperature too cold light. But if your water temperature is not cold and the light is still lit up after you heat your pool, you'll need to keep diagnosing this problem and figure out if it's the flow switch. Step 3, check that your pool has the proper salt level. Chlorine generators are designed to operate at a specific salt level. Mine's designed to work best at 3,400 parts per million of salt. Run the pool for several hours. If you have a cleaning robot, run that, it's even better. You'll turn on the pool and the robot, and that'll help to mix up the water in case there's any dense salt water sitting at the bottom of your pool. You want it all mixed up, and that's going to help us get a more accurate reading. Once it's mixed up, we'll take a water sample to test, and I prefer to use this Taylor salt test kit because it's very accurate and it lasts a very long time. You could also take a water sample to a local pool store for a free test, or you can buy one of these electronic salt testers on Amazon. I found them to be fairly accurate. Mine reports within 200 parts per million within the Taylor test kit and also in the store. So your mileage may vary, but plus or minus 200 isn't all that bad. In the past, I used these salt test strips and they work okay, but they're kind of expensive at $10 for only 10 of them, and you go through them pretty quick, faster than you may think. Okay, so if you've done all this and your salt still is still indicating a cold water light or low or high salt levels, and it's not creating the chlorine, you might be time for a new $50 flow switch. My salt cell was about 5 years old and their advertised lifespan's 10,000 operating hours. So I was kind of thinking my salt cell is worn out and I was ready to buy a new one. They're about $900 for a Pentair IC40. But replacing the flow switch solved my cold water and my low salt airs, and it only took me about 20 minutes. These flow switches can be purchased online, and I'll put a link in the video description below for the ones that I recommend. A genuine name brand replacement for Hayward and Pentair are about $90 plus, but I found that the $50 one worked just fine. To replace the flow switch, you'll need to turn off your pool pumps and the power and pop the cap off the top of your salt cell. and then take a photo of the current setup. That way you'll know exactly how it's supposed to go back in. And then you'll unscrew the old sensor to remove it, and simply cut off the old sensor as close to the sensor as possible so you have more wire to work with. Then you'll strip the wires and match them up to the new one. The flow switches come with directions on how to wire these depending on if it's 3 or 4 wires, so follow the directions on that. And you'll thread the new sensor with 3 to 4 wraps of Teflon tape, and you'll screw it in slowly. If resistance is felt, stop and make sure you don't screw it in too tight, as you can crack something here. Once you're near the end of the threads, you'll want to align the flow switch arrows and match the photo that you took earlier, because the flow switch must be installed in the proper direction of the water flow. Next, use the included wire connectors to match up the wires, and then you can use pliers to smash and crimp them, and then you'll wrap the wires around the sensor and reinstall the cap. Start up your system and check for leaks. Depending on your system, you may be able to calibrate the new sensor in the menus or on the salt cell by pressing the 2 buttons together, but my salt cell doesn't have that ability. It's too old, so I simply turned it on and it started operating immediately, and right away the cold temperature and low salt level lights went out, and within 1 hour the salt levels reported to my control panel closely matched the salt testing levels that I did the day before. If you don't have a control panel like I do, you can still see and diagnose most of this directly on the lights on the salt cell using the buttons. My salt cell is a Pentair IC40, and I say that because I will put links below for the manuals of the most popular salt cells on the market, not just mine, in the video description, so you can just click there and read more specific directions. But be sure to reference your user manual for more details. I'm very happy that the flow switch refreshed my salt cell and got it working again without the need to replace it. Right now, chlorine prices are through the roof, and so even if this buys me 1 to 2 more years, it will save me hundreds of dollars over buying chlorine, and also will save me many hundreds of dollars of what I would have paid if I bought a new salt cell right now. Okay, that's the end of this video. If you found it helpful, please give us a like and a subscribe. And if you have more questions, join the comments below and we'll do our best to help you out. And I'll see you in the next video.